Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the
Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad you're with me today. My guest is having some technical difficulties and she's not here yet, but we're going to go on anyway. I'd like to share with you a poem to start, and then we're just going to have dialogue. I want to share, we honor you for the kings and queens that you are. We acknowledge the struggles and the triumphs that make you a shining star. As you proclaim your faith in God, thanking Him for bringing you this far, we value and appreciate, respect, and celebrate all the contributions you make. There is no mistake the impact on the many lives you touch and the trails you continue to blaze. Be thankful and amazed you are the example the world needs to see as you build your businesses with grace and integrity. Your legacy will stand as a testament of true liberty. You are the change to advance our society. Forge forward and upward as you continue to live your dreams. And so we're talking today about the kings and queens that we are and the businesses that we've established or that we're building. And I'm waiting for my guest, so I just want to kind of share with you. Oh, she's here. Okay, awesome. Uh, I want to just acknowledge that in today's world, having your own business is paramount to success and being able to move forward in our society. And if anyone is there and want to put something in the chat as she's trying to connect, by all means do. We appreciate you being here, and let's talk about things that are of importance. As we look towards the future, I just want to encourage you all to hold fast to your dreams. Even if at times it seems it may not come true, living your dream will depend on you. The roads we take, the paths we choose, are necessary to live our dreams through. There may be detours, winding roads, and wrong turns, all in which are lessons to be learned. As your journey unfolds, you'll realize your goals. What a beautiful story soon to be told. So hold fast to your dreams. And in order for your dreams to become a reality, you got to take action. Things will happen. Persist and you will gain. Pursue your goals day by day. Your life will not be the same. Dream dreams without hesitation. Visualize them, see them every day. Feel the excitement, exaltation while you're on your way. So I just want to encourage you all to never give up, never give in, never doubt yourself, never worry about what other people think or say about you. Know that God has you and that He is in control of your life. Just allow Him to do that. And I also want to just let you know that even when things seem difficult, even when we seem to not have everything that we need in order to move forward, that if we just start moving forward, the things you need, the people you need, the opportunities you need, they will come. You just got to take action and allow things to happen. And trust me, as I speak to you, I speak to myself, because sometimes just mere survival can keep us from moving forward. And so I just want to encourage you again to never give up, never give in, and always remember that God is in control, and you just need to let Him lead you, guide you, instruct you, and let Him have His way. And so I just want to know if there's anyone out there that want to kind of share some things as we're waiting for my guests. I just want you to know that your voice matters, what you have to say matters, and we want to just allow you to express yourself today. So if anyone has anything they would like to share or comment as I'm waiting for my guests to come in, I'm open and wanting to hear from you. And while we're waiting, today here in Georgia, there was a voters registration drive. Hello, Baylon. How are you? It's so good to see you. Thank you for being here. I'm waiting on my guests. So if you have some comments that you'd like to make so that we can have some dialogue, that would be great. It would be welcomed. I appreciate you being here. And I know that Yvonne, the guest, that she's trying to get on. She's having some difficulties. And if there's anything you'd like to share regarding your experience with her, that would be great. Yes, you said great. Yes. So I don't want to feel like I'm at a loss for words because I talk quite a bit. Yes. Love the voter registration day today. Yes, we had youth from all over registering and voting, and they were also doing some things with civic education, learning about our government and how it runs and operates. That is so important. And unfortunately, today there are so many young people that don't know about how our systems work. I am getting ready to pull on my guest. Hello, Yvonne. How are you today?
I am fine. I am fine. And I am trying to get this camera up. I'm pretty sure that it'll pop in while we're here. Hopefully, you'll be able to see the presentation.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do, oh, she just was knocked off again. Well, let me just kind of share a video which will kind of tell you a little bit about her. So let me pull that up and we can run that right quick. That was a little bit about my guest. And Baylon, she says, Yvonne has incredible perspectives on finance, community service, spirituality, space exploration, and more. I can't wait to talk to her about all of those things. And the devil is busy, but he's a lie. She's going to get on here and we're going to talk about the things that Baylon has just mentioned. So let me pull her on again. Are you there?
I'm here in voice. I still having a little trouble for whatever reason. It's telling me the camera. I can see the camera's on, but for some reason, it's not coming on your side. but we
Oh,
will. But that's okay. We will move forward.
yes, we
Like
will.
because
And
many times on the radio, this is what we have. You have
yeah,
the person, the avatar, and you have the host. So why don't we
absolutely.
just take it away? I do have something I want to share, as we go into the presentation, but I'll let you take it away.
Okay, well, I just played your video that you sent me to give the audience an overview of who you are. But I'm going to read briefly your bio. I'm not going to read everything because I want to talk about your bio and all the many things that you're doing. The Right Honorable Lady Yvonne Gamble, she is a venture capitalist and is the CEO of SanPete Financial Group, the venture capital firm specializing in infrastructure development. She is also a senior partner with Platform Capital Group, Accelerator Hub, and founder of Simplified Knowledge Institute and think tank Mobamed. She is a PPE supplier and finance and minister of finance for Kingdom. And I want to talk about that as well. There is so much about you. And she is an accomplished negotiator, speaker, trainer, instructional designer, thought leader, and author. And I am so glad to have you here. And rather than me read all these things, and I do want you to know that Beilan, she has said that you have an incredible perspective, finance, community service, spirituality, space and exploration, and more. So we have so much to talk about. So, you know what? I'm going to give you the floor and just let you kind of take it from here and talk, and then I'll ask questions as you go.
Okay, that's interesting. Um, wow. I guess the question always becomes, what do they want to know? What do they want to know? What's best in the context and the content of what you're actually.
Um,
And yes, and
go ahead.
okay, and so basically, what happens with that, with the career, I really like to get into the subject matter. I have, yes, you're absolutely correct. I have done, and I do quite a lot of things. And those things that I have done, I do them on purpose. They're not done at random. They are done on purpose to get me to a particular end. I need all those different facets and experiences and understandings and deep dive understandings in order to do what I do, such as a venture capitalist, it's very good for me, to have worked across several different industries because obviously people come to you and they need money and they're not going to come they from one particular industry. They're going to come from different industries. They're going to have different ideas, different things they want to do, and so therefore you have to be somewhat well versed or become well versed, in their areas that they're looking to go into to be able to. First off, we're financial consultants. That's truly what we are. In this arena of venture capital, we have to be a financial consultant to consult them on where the business can go, what they can do, and what are some of the ways that we can do it. And then we provide them the necessary financing. So you're consulting them all the way. Well, if I understand infrastructure, if I understand telecommunications, if I understand uh, water distribution, if I understand electrical distribution, those sorts of things, space technology, what have you, then it's very easy for me to actually go out to the marketplace and advocate for them to an investor to invest in them. So therefore, having those experiences, it makes them very comfortable. My first client is the investor, and so therefore I work for the investor where I'm looking in the industry for people who match that investor's taste, what they're looking for, the level of investment that they want to have, be it equity or debt, or if they want to participate in revenue, I find those people that fit that particular realm and and present them. So therefore, in doing that, it really helps both sides of the equation because I know exactly how to package that client. I know exactly what the investor is looking for. And so therefore, it helps to kind of shorten down that time and get them to the negotiating table faster because venture capital is all about negotiating.
That is awesome. I want to acknowledge one of our audience. He says, "Hey, family. Hello, Grady. Thank you for being on." And Divine, let me ask you, so what kinds of businesses or startups are investors most interested in?
Now, what they're looking at is tech. So anything and everything is truly getting the assignment of tech, biotech, fintech, uh, everything you name, you can assign tech to it. So what they're really saying with that is they are truly going after the technical aspect, and that's because of the globalization that's going on across the world, where we are now tying our systems together, we're tying our communications together. Well, we have to do that technically. And so we have the infrastructure is there. So the cabling is there, the telephones are there, the systems, the computers, all these things are there. Now we have to connect faster and better, higher quality and high security. So those are some of the areas of innovation that you want to be looking at. And then another, that's number one, is technical. Number two would be agriculture because we do have an issue with food and food insecurities. We have a lot of people, not to say some people don't have enough food, but even the people who do have food, it is doing very damaging things to the body. So we have
Yes.
to change the way in which we eat and the way in which we consume our food and fitness and all those things that go with that. So that industry and all its different arms and legs that it plays out into the healthcare industry. Health is basically that actually should be literally number one because health is something that we have seen here recently how a microorganism just literally took over the world.
Yes.
you know, Something that you can't without a 100x microscope, 1,000x microscope, you can't even see it, and
Yes.
it basically brought the world to a standstill. So the healthcare industry is extremely important, and of course security, because now when you have the network and the connectivity, you have to be able to secure that signal from the time it leaves, whether it's your cell phone, your laptop, your desktop, your banking ATM, wherever that signal leaves and travels to its destination, it is now open, even encrypted as we can get them, but it is on the open wire. It's in transit, so to speak. So until it gets to its destination, that's what we call end-to-end security. So those types of fields are very look they're invested very heavily in right now.
Okay, so I want to repeat what she said. Security. Well, first of all, tech companies are in high demand. Investors are looking for tech companies. Investors are looking for companies that are dealing with agriculture, growing food, raising monies for food processing and all of those kinds of things. And you are so right about the need for us to develop our own in many cases where agriculture is concerned. So let me ask you now, do you also work with nonprofits that may be in the agricultural industry or any of those other entities that you talked about, or are they all for-profit entities that you're looking for?
What we do is, and that's a very good question. And what happens is, again, with that well-rounded, you know, what I have, and I serve on several boards of nonprofit organizations, and so therefore, and that allows me to actually bring that component in. I do that through collaboration. The standard, operating system for venture capitalists is for profit only, for investments, because they're looking for a return on capital. So they're looking for companies that are going to actually, make profit and
Yes.
then return a portion of that profit, be it dividends, revenue, or equity payback. And so, what we do have for the nonprofits, I have an excellent collaborative team that I work with, and what they do is they actually put together sponsors for them. So they put together sponsors beginning from the local level all the way up through to the global level, to sponsor them. Whether it be branding, whether it be financial, but basically they show them, how to do that and work with them to do it. So yes, those people, I encourage them to also reach out to us, because this is what I set out to do here, and that was, I could simply have been a standard financial consultant, made a nice good 7, 8 figure income, just consulting, and doing nothing else, not really offering anything back, or what have you, just going to my 9 to 5, which many consultants do. But I wanted to build an agency that actually would give back and would give, not only a client, but would give the investors what they needed. It could give a country what its needs, a government, cities. It could give all of those entities the types of things that they need, and meet them at their point of need.
That is awesome. And you talked about countries and governments, and I know that you're very involved in that area as well. And so I'd like for you to kind of share a little bit about the Numi Kingdom. And I know you're the Minister of Finance for them. So I'm going to kind of point out some things from your resume for us to talk about and show how all of these things tie in together to do what it is that you do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The Numi kingdom is the Moorish kingdom, and there's probably not anyone out there is not familiar with Morocco, and not familiar with the Moors and how they went out thousand millennia ago throughout the world. Well, when it was just simply a Pangea, before the breakup of the continents or what have you, and they went out and they conquered, many areas that would become, such as Spain. That's the one that most remember the most. And
Yeah.
then, as most kingdoms go out and conquer, those then they become conquered. And when the Pangea split off, they even had, before it even split off into the continent, what would become the Americas, and what ended up, just being just Africa alone. Morocco was a part of that, and that's why they ended up staying there, and thought that everybody, once that big breakup had happened of the um, Earth's crust, that they had been destroyed. Well, many of them had not. So years later, they traveled, here to the United States, and found, oh, this is the people survived. And so what they have done is many times throughout is to begin to rebuild the Moorish community and the kingdom, and they built up very well back in the early 20s, and it lasted for about a good 10 years and had a very good reign, and that's why you do see several Moorish communities throughout the United States. Small groups, small fragments of that. And so what we are doing with the Numa Kingdom is we're pulling it back together from a humanitarian perspective, and pulling in all those fragmented pieces, and really, putting it back together, so that it actually begins to, have its cohesiveness, and to collaborate, with others, United States, and with other areas and what have you. So it will not be it will not, be a sovereign state, what have you. It's not creating that. It will be doing humanitarian efforts. So a lot of what you were speaking on, as far as nonprofit and that sort of thing, it will be doing a lot more in that particular arena, as well as, we uh, do financing for those, who are coming, for the standard financing as well.
Awesome. Okay. And now you also are the founder of Simplified Knowledge Institute. And I have your website scrolling as you're talking. So listening audience, copy this website so that you can be in touch with Yvonne. She has a wealth of knowledge as well as information as well as opportunities for businesses um, in terms of venture capital. So, can you tell us a little bit about what the Simplified Knowledge Institute is?
Yes, the Simplified Knowledge Institute is a think tank. And so, therefore, we are aligned with, we have membership with several other, of your major think tanks around the country and around the world. And basically, those think tanks, what they do is they get together and they decide exactly, what's going to happen and set the tone. So we are futurists. Most people who come in and join a think tank are futurists, and their mindset is to look toward the future, to look beyond, go to the edge of tomorrow and stand and look what can be, and then come back and put in the necessary things to make that happen. And so that's what Simplified Knowledge Institute is. And it seeks, and I chose the name Simplified Knowledge because it's always my thought to speak to the common man and in uncommon hours so that he too would be a participant and no one gets left behind.
That is so awesome because so many times people they may have ideas, they may have wisdom, they may have forward thinking, but they may feel, well, I'm not a part of that group because I don't either have the education or I don't have the resources, but I have the knowledge and I have the wisdom. So for you to want to reach out to the common person, that is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You had the Lifesavers Ministry of Women's Affairs in Africa. You are an ambassador. And so can you share with us what do you do with that?
With that is that, and that's good. That's a with that organization, what you what you have to do when you work globally, when you're going to be global, you don't. Back in the '70s, everybody was putting international in the name of their business, and they really weren't doing international business. Doing global business means you have to align yourself with global partners. And so not only it's not just simply about what you want to do from the United States, you have to also look at what these other countries, what they want to do, in their countries. And then so we say, okay, what can we do together? Or how can we help or assist one another in these efforts? Well, many countries around the world are dealing with most when we actually sit down and start talking, what we find is we're more the same than we are different.
Yes.
And we have more of the same issues than
Yes.
we have difference in issues. So therefore, it really we're saying, wow, this is easy. If we can solve the problem, come up with a resolution to a problem that can then be implemented in both on both sides of the coin, and that way you actually affect more people simply with the solution, and you actually reach more people with what the solution should be, or more people to actually chime in and advocate, for you on a solution. And so with the Lifesavers ambassadors, they are throughout international. They're currently throughout Africa, and we've just begun here in the United States. I've collaborated with them, so I'm the USA country director, and I have pulled together. And Bailan Mahino is she is actually our ambassador over Asian affairs, and one of the projects that she is heading up is an excellent project, and it is just so indicative of what we do. There's a group in the Philippines that she is aligned with, and they're looking to bring tea trees to the Philippines, and they are actually purchasing the tea tree seeds from in countries in Africa. So
Wow.
you see how that
Yes.
so now that one person saying, "Oh, I can bring this together," So in the United States, consider we don't have the TTC. So it's like, oh, but I have a connection over there because
Wow.
they're ambassadors there throughout the country. I can now call on them, and then they can say, oh, yes, we can get you the seeds. You can get the seeds to the Philippines. They can now build, they can now grow their tea trees. And,
And
and so
that is that
that's
is so
how it is.
awesome. And
Yeah.
tea tree, that oil is so
Yes,
phenomenal.
isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes, it
It,
is. I
it
love
is so phenomenal for medicinal purposes and all kinds of other reasons. It is phenomenal. And I have to ask you, how did you, what motivated, propelled, or caused you to have the passion and the drive that you have?
I'll tell you, Vera. It's for me. It was real simple. It's trying to get things done. It's that's I've always worked at the top of industries, at the top level and what have you. I started out in the multi-million dollar banking section at 18 years old, American National Bank in Chicago. So I've always worked at the top of industry, and I saw how things were done. Things were not done simply by one company, just doing the one thing. They always all worked with other companies. They worked with within their cities or their states. The electric company does not just simply serve its one singular purpose. It serves everyone. Everybody connects to it, in some shape, form, or fashion. So therefore, there has to be, that collaboration and those conversations and those agreements, working and looking at the people they serve from end to end, high to low. And so in trying to get things done, this is what you this is what you have to do. It's not a choice. It's the thing. If you're going to get things done at this from this globalization level, then you have to have an organization that does that, and you have to design your organization in such a manner that. And one of the things I do want to say to the audience so that they get it, it's not just me, okay? It's not just me. As a matter of fact, uh, Vera and I, we were communicating this weekend, and I'll share this with you. It's personal. I was taking care of my 13 and 15-year-old grandchildren because my daughter and son-in-law were celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary, and they were
Oh,
with somebody. And
congratulations.
so they flew me to Dallas, Texas, and I stayed at their homes with the kids, and we ran rampant.
I bet you did.
And I let them do what grandmas let them do, whatever they want.
Yes, there's nothing like
Because
being
I
a
was,
grandmother. I'm
exactly,
telling
because
you.
I was going to leave on Tuesday. You know? so, yeah. So do I have downtime? Do I get to do that and still, have these? Yes, because why? I have Superman and Superwoman staffs. That's why. That's how I.
Yes, yes, you are phenomenal. I mean, phenomenal. And you've got so many things. I just want to let the audience know that this lady that is on my show is phenomenal. She can connect. I see you as the great collaborator.
Yeah, that's it. Everything.
The-
This is the era. We are truly in the era of collaboration. If
yes,
you don't, we do not let December 24th. I'm not gonna say December 31st. I'm gonna say December 24th because after that you need to be doing something with your friends or family for the Christmas holiday and New Year.
yes.
Do not let December 24th pass and you do not have at least three collaborative agreements. I don't know what those agreements would be on. I don't know what your business is, but you need to have three penned, signed, collaborative agreements between you and another business that you can collaborate with. You have something of value to offer them, they have something of value to offer you. If you don't have that, you are doing yourself, your clientele, and the world that you serve a disservice.
That is great advice. And I would like for you to repeat it again so that the audience can clearly understand the importance of doing that.
The importance of having those at least three collaborative agreements is this: it forces you to look outside of yourself as a singular entity to get done what you want to have done. I know I talk to so many different varied businesses. They come with so many different ideas, but that one business cannot get it all done. And what they need to do is to collaborate with other businesses, because sometimes that business may be the one that have the finances that you need to actually move yourself, or they'll have the database, they'll have the clientele, and you can service that clientele. That's a collaborative agreement that needs to be completed, that needs to be filled out. I will send to Vera, a basic collaborative, agreement. She can send that out to you, and that's something. Then you put your names in there. You change the terms, you change the conditions, but this is an imperative, people. This is not a want. This is not a, oh, this is nice. This is not one of those tips or something like that. I don't do that. This is a must do if you want to compete in business going forward.
That is valuable, valuable. And I need to take heed to what you're saying for sure. You had also, now you also, I know you're an author and you have your book on financing your next $1 billion. So can you kind of touch on that a little bit? I know that at the top, we talked about the importance of getting dollars through investors, but can you tell us a little more about your book?
Yes, that book actually was born out of frustration. And let me tell you what I was frustrated about. I did have years ago where that's why you see on my website there's tons of content, and actually that's been pared down, trust me. I have so much content and so many different ways of what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to be in this business when you're actually entering the world of venture capitalists and investment and that whole arena. And I would send information out, to my clients, hoping that they would read it. And more times than not, by the time they came back to the meetings with myself, they would not have read the materials, so it would just elongate the whole process. And many times the whole process would fall apart because of that. And so what I decided to do after you say it so many times, and I'm a trainer, so I have that ability, and I said, look, I'm just going to put this in a book. And when people come to me and they want to get these things done, I'm going to give them this book. And once they understand that, and when they come back to me and sit and and talk with me about an idea that they have or something they want to do, and they're not really quite sure about it, I'll say, well, I'll pull out the book and say, okay, on page 25, where it's telling you about this. What do you remember it saying? Then I know if they read the book or not,
Yes.
if they read it, because that is a textbook. That's not a story. That's not an oh, see me, look what I did, and if I did it, you can do it too. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I just don't. I give
Okay.
you a textbook. I give you something that's going to teach you how to do it, how to be, how to present yourself, who you're presenting to, why you have to present it. When you finish with that book, you will understand who, what, when, where, why, and how to go to a venture capitalist and get money from them.
And where can someone purchase the book?
You can actually go out to Amazon. Go to
Okay.
Amazon.com and just put the title there, Financing Your Next Billion. Or you can actually go to my Facebook page and click on the buy button, not the buy button, but I think the shop now, Women Leading Change, and one of my other websites. But the best place to do is just go out to Amazon and look up Financing Your Next Billion, and it's right there.
Okay. Awesome. Now you also have 64 big proverbial reasons why we communicate.
Yes. And I wrote that book some years ago after I wrote the book Why Do We Communicate? And the book Why Do We Communicate was so serious. That's a very serious writing there. And it talks about the human factor of why we communicate one with the other, just from the basic communication, mother and child, all the way up to communication of, government to government. So it's very serious. And then after that, I wrote 64 big proverbial reasons why we communicate. And I kind of start the book with, because when, what we say to ourselves doesn't begin, it all of a sudden does not sound right anymore. And so that's why we go look for somebody else to talk to.
I once heard a quote that said, "It's okay to talk to yourself. It's even okay to answer yourself. You just never say to yourself, huh? What did you say?"
Well, when you start doing that, that's when you're going to find somebody else. You know what? You say, okay, it's time for me to get out of this room
Exactly.
and go find
Exactly.
somebody to talk to.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And well, can you kind of share a couple of those proverbial reasons, other than we need to talk to someone to get out of our own voice and head?
Right. A couple of the things are, I'm trying to remember because what they are, some of them are quotes
Okay.
that people were saying to me, and it became the reason, why we communicate. And I remember this one from this pastor, Felix Golden, and he said to me, he said, he says, you cannot understand me unless you understand yourself.
Amen. And
And yeah,
that is so key. And that's just like the scripture that says, love thy neighbor as thyself. You can't love someone else if you don't love yourself. It's very hard to do that. And so, absolutely.
so that's one that really just kind of resonates, that sticks out in there. And I think another one, I can't think of who said it, it might have been an anonymous, and it said, if I have but one word to say, that would simply be thank you.
Oh, yes. Yes. I love that. If I had just one word to say, it would be thank you. Thank you. Yes. And I want to thank you for being here.
Well, you're welcome. I thank you, Vera. Thank you so much. This is so wonderful, and it's so much fun to just sometimes talk, to
Yes.
communicate. That it
Yes.
is. It is. And this is why you asked, one of the big reasons why we communicate, because we want to know, we want to understand, we want to get to that place of higher wisdom. I was speaking this weekend and saying, to my daughter, to my son-in-law, and saying to them that I says knowledge, is one thing to know a lot of things. You can know a lot of things. I can read the dictionary. I know a lot of words. I can, go to college. I will know a lot of facts and figures and places. If I don't know how to apply that knowledge, or if I have not had the experience, not just simply an experience, but the experience of time, I will
Yes.
not build my wisdom. And
Yes.
those are the reasons why we continue to communicate, because in this communication I've learned something from you, you've learned something from me, your audience has learned something from both of us. And this is why in the human factor we communicate, and why we must continue to communicate.
Absolutely. Communications is key. And if you can talk about it, you can handle it. If you can talk about it, you can solve problems. And that's across the board, not only in business but also in relationships. People have a hard time communicating and expressing themselves, even on a personal level, as well as in business. And so, communications is key. And one of the things, and I know this is kind of off topic, but one of the things that I really encourage, because so often we communicate by attacking or talking, wanting to attack rather than addressing the issue, addressing the behavior. And that goes with companies, governments, as well as families, being able to address the issue and not taking things so personal.
Correct, correct. And I think we have, um, you said it best. You said the devil is always busy. And what it's done is it has come to take the attention away from the issue
Yes,
by making it an issue simply, how I feel. I feel this certain way. You feel that certain way. And you remember there was a time when you didn't even talk about how you felt.
true.
But not in public. You did not. You talked about that in private and what have you, but that was not a public sentiment that you made, or you didn't bring that into the public arena. You definitely didn't bring it into the workplace. And so, therefore, now it's everywhere.
Yes.
And what happens is it discolors, and it disavows what is actually going on, because instead of dealing with the problem at hand, we're dealing with what you think about the problem. Well, we haven't dealt with the problem first. What you think about it, it matters not. If it's an accident, something happens, we don't have time to think about, oh, she got on red shoes, or he's a black man, or he's a white man, or he's Hispanic, or what have you, or her hair is long, or his hair is short, or he's bald. We got time for that. We got to pull you out of that fire, out of that burning car. And that's where we have allowed ourselves to get taken off the mark.
Yes.
Don't have to come up and kill you. I can just take you off the mark just enough. Now, instead of you standing there with this burning car, dealing with trying to get this person out, you stand there squabbling and arguing. Like,
Yes.
what color are they?
Yes.
Okay.
And facts and evidence, when you're dealing facts and evidence,
Hmm.
lending support to that communications, and when doing that, then we're not concentrated on the feelings, like you said, facts and evidence, because I know even in dealing with employees and getting them to get past the name calling or the blaming, the blame game.
Yes.
Look at the facts, look at the evidence, and lend support and communicate from that perspective instead of in other ways. Absolutely. So, all right, there's so many things, and we've got about almost, well, 10 minutes. And
You know what?
time,
Let's do this. I'll let you go ahead on, and we'll kind of go through the rest of that. But I'm going to have to come back because our topic, and that we did not give our audience, and I know I was having a little bit of technical, but I definitely want to come back because that is awesome. I tell you, and I didn't. That came to that came to me. I didn't come to this subject, that fourth industrial revolution. That was not a subject that I sat and pondered and thought, oh, I think this is what I want to talk about next, or I want to write about, or what have you. That subject just pushed its way into my life. But I'll let you go ahead on. But I'll definitely come back another time and do that. But I'll let
okay.
you go ahead on and finish out the show, just from the bio.
Well, what I would like for you to do is, rather than me do that, why don't you just kind of touch
Okay.
on that, and then you'll come back and we'll expound.
Okay.
Okay?
I love it. I love it. Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, just to what it is actually doing when we talk about, um, and I thank you for the opportunity because that's very good. Because the fourth industrial revolution, just what is it? And that is, it is an industrial revolution is basic lasts about 80 to 100 years, and that's when you go from one industrial revolution into the next one. That means that everything worldwide, the worldwide systems, worldwide processes have changed. It's not just a new iteration, a new car, or a new generation of cell phone, coming out, something like that. It means that world systems are now changing over into the something new, whatever those somethings new are. We're about 6 years into the fourth industrial revolution. This is marked by, as you can see, we just had a worldwide shutdown.
Yes.
Simultaneous, the entire world was able to shut down, literally better than anything the United Nations could ever put together. Wars couldn't did not shut us down, like this. We shut down peacefully, and we shut down in communicatively. We communicated one with the other. We helped one with the other. Those sorts of things. But we were able to do that because why? Because our systems and our systems functionality were at such a connected level that it allowed us to be able to. So when you look at the Internet of Things, how that has connected the world together, and you look at that's why I say fintech is that huge thing that investors are investing in, because the fintech did what? It allowed people to be able to financially transfer money, to and from during that time, and also it allowed the financial industry to continue to move during that time. So that did not stop. So our commerce, and because commerce has to move, just like water and wind and air, commerce has to move, finance has to move, food has to move. All those things are moving because our systems were in place. Well, all these systems and these changes are part of the fourth industrial revolution. What we're actually going to talk about during that subject time is the next 100 years change management. How do you manage this change that is actually taking place right before your eyes? You can see it. These things are happening. You can't do this like some people did when the internet was really getting well underway. They were calling it the information superhighway, and people were saying, "I'm never going to connect up to that internet. You're never going to get my information. I'm never going." Now these people, you can't get them offline.
Absolutely.
So these are the people who stay up late night, And so therefore, so what is happening is this, though, within the next 100 years, you're either going to be on and connected and well connected between now and the next 50 years, not 100 years, the next 50 years, or you're going to be left behind. And one of the reasons being is, and it's not that people are going to be mean or that they're leaving people out or that they want to just marginalize people out or what have you, is because you can only do so much with backward compatibility. What do I mean by that? Well, right now, we're moving over to 5G and technology. And so, therefore, if you're still running around with a flip phone, oh well, you're out of luck. Okay. I feel for you. My heart goes out. My heart. If you still got that old flip phone, you got that flip phone from 1972, whatever. You got still that big old box that you run around with. Well, guess what? You are not going to be able to be connected. So, should we feel sorry for you? Well, we can feel sorry for you if we want to, but the fact of the matter is, you're not going to be able to get connected or to make calls or to do anything that you're going to need to do. We now are going to a cashless society. And that's not just simply in the United States, that's across around the world where we're no longer going to be using cash. And so everything is going to be exchanged digitally. That transformation. How will you manage that in your business? How will you manage that personally? How will you manage that in, all the things that you're connected to, all the things you have to connect to? All that has to be managed. And yes, you have to decide and you have to have plans for those things. You can't just simply, no one's going to come can hold your hand and give you this plan or, bang on the door and force you to do it. You just will simply be left behind. So what has to happen is responsibility. That's one of the things that this fourth industrial revolution is really shining the light on and literally putting that at the top, like at the sun, and that's self responsibility, where every individual, every nation, every continent has to take responsibility for itself. That's why being a part of the Paris Accord and being a part of the climate change conversation was so important that America continued her seat at the table and not away from the table. And we, just bury our head in the sand and say, oh, the glaciers that are melting, just to the north of us, that's not happening,
No.
or the wildfires that are burning California, and is sparking up, or the tsunami that continues, or the rivers, the hurricanes that continue to wreck through Louisiana are not happening, and that's not because of climate change. Oh, that's just a bad storm. Come on,
Right,
it's
right.
come on, get a grip. It's like get a grip. So responsibility for self and for places is just going to be, magnified. It's going to be magnified a thousandfold.
And
And
that in and of itself, so many people refuse to accept responsibility. And so that is teaching that is going to be, first of all, fundamental. That's got to be first. How do you force people to clearly understand that one, you can't, we are time's out for the blame game. We have to accept responsibility, and that is so key. And it's across the board. So many people are not doing that. So many governments are not doing that. And so I'm sure that what you're doing is going to help trigger that kind of response, not only from governments, but from individuals as well.
well, that's the work that is the work. That's why I said, Vera, this kind of fell onto me. I didn't fall on it. I guess kind of like how it was said that Plymouth Rock fell on us. We didn't fall on Plymouth Rock. So it's this kind of like what happened with this, because this is something that the Davos convention that comes out of the World Economic Forum, and they do this every year, and this is one of the big things with there. The world leaders are already discussing how do they integrate that into the society. Well, again, like I said, I look at all of society and that portion of society that always seems to get left out, and I'm not going to sit around and wait until it's the 11th hour, and basically it's like take what you get type situation, and therefore you're not left out, but what you're left with is not the best of what you could have gotten had you gotten in on the beginning.
Yes.
So that's what I'm here to do, is to make certain that the levels of society, all that I touch, are going to come in at the top end of what is happening and the change, and that way then they can be part of that the group that leads that change, and not simply a part of the group that simply takes a handout when the change is done.
Amen. Well, I would love to talk to you more, even offline, regarding that and how I can possibly be a part of what you're doing.
Well,
Um,
thank you. I appreciate that.
yes, because it's important. It's absolutely important. Now, you talked about cash not being the mode for dealing with things. So, are you talking cryptocurrency and bitcoins and
Cryptocurrency, what you're going to see is you here probably within the next 10, 15 years, you will see it'll be kind of like a clash of the titans. Who's going to, which everybody is vying for that spot, that space, that top spot to be the currency. Well, we may be a while, we may be about 20 years with the several different currencies. And then the one that best suits everyone and all the things we do will play out.
awesome. Well, we have ran out of time. I do want to acknowledge Felicia. First of all, she said that she says taking responsibility is the first step to change. And there was another comment. She totally agrees that facts and evidence are critical. And that ties in with taking responsibility as well. Well, listen, we have ran out of time, Yvonne.
Okay.
But I'm going to have you come back and so that we can continue this conversation because it is so critical in order to move everyone forward and not leave anyone out. And so I do appreciate you coming today. And we're going to look at another date. Okay.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too. And thank you, listening audience, for being here. And I will see you next week.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk.